Please note, the following episode contains themes of pet and animal death. Listener discretion is advised.
This is a story from Scary Stories 3, More Tales to Chill Your Bones. The Black Dog. It was 11 o'clock at night. Peter Rothberg was in bed on the second floor of the old house where he lived alone. It had gotten so chilly he went downstairs to turn up the heat. On his way back to bed, a black dog ran down the stairs. It passed him and disappeared into the darkness. "Where did you come from?" Peter said. He had never seen the dog before. He turned on all the lights and looked in every room. He couldn't find the dog anywhere. He went outside and brought in the 2 watchdogs he kept in the backyard, but they acted as if they were the only dogs in the house. The next night, again at 11 o'clock, Peter was in his bedroom. He heard what sounded like a dog walking around in the room above him. He dashed upstairs and threw open the door. The room was empty. He looked under the bed. He looked in the closet. Nothing. But when he got back to his bedroom, he heard a dog running down the stairs. It was the black dog. He tried to follow it, but again he couldn't find where it had gone. From then on, every night at 11, Peter heard the dog walking in the room above him. The room was always empty, but after he left, the dog would come out of hiding, run down the stairs, and disappear. One night, Peter's neighbor waited with him for the dog. At the usual time, they heard it above them. Then they heard it on the stairs. When they went out into the hall, it was standing at the foot of the stairs looking up at them. The neighbor whistled and the dog wagged its tail. Then it was gone. Things went on this way until the night Peter decided to bring his watchdogs into the house again. Maybe this time they would find the black dog and drive it away. Just before 11, he took them up to his bedroom and left the door open. Then he heard the black dog moving around above him. The dogs pricked up their ears and ran to the door. Suddenly they bared their teeth and snarled and backed away. Peter could not see the black dog or hear it, but he was sure that it had entered the room. His dogs barked and snapped. They darted forward nervously and then backed away again. Suddenly, one of them yelped. It began bleeding, then dropped to the floor, its neck torn open. A minute later, it was dead. Peter's other dog backed into a corner, whimpering. Then, everything was still. The next night, Peter's neighbor came back with a pistol. Again, they waited in his bedroom. At 11 o'clock, the black dog came down the stairs. As before, it looked up at them and wagged its tail. As they started toward it with a pistol, it growled and disappeared. That was the last Peter saw of the black dog, but it didn't mean that the dog was gone. Now and then, always at 11, he heard it moving around above him. Once he heard it running down the stairs. He'd never managed to see it again, but he knew that it was there. Tonight, on Dreary Midnight, we discuss the black dog.
So to reiterate the content warning from the top of the episode, this episode does contain animal death.
Unfortunately. You talk about ghostly animal apparitions.
Yes.
Probably going to contain
animal
death.
Yeah, dead animals of all sorts. Are we just doing black dogs today, or?
We're just doing black dogs today. There's so many we could honestly do a whole series on like animal omens.
Yeah.
Because there's like the dog, there's the cat, there's the crow.
Yeah. And like crows and ravens have different meanings depending on where you are. Because like I feel like a raven is a trickster in some places and like an omen of death in other places. And
I feel like a raven is like a trickster type because one, it's a mimic. So
true.
It's a little creepy.
Yeah.
And then crows are the kind of birds who will like hold a grudge and follow you everywhere.
Yeah.
So both good. But either way.
Yeah.
Today, we're focusing mostly on the black dog. I have a disclaimer in that I just moved, so my brain has been scattered. So I don't have a formal script, but I do have a whole bunch of tabs open.
Yeah. And I'm about to move again. So between the two of us, if we get short episodes this month, that's why.
Yeah. Moving is legitimately one of the most stressful things that a person can do.
Yeah. No, like there was a study, it's like death, pregnancy, and moving are like the top 3 most stressful things, or something like that.
Because you literally have to pack your entire home into boxes and then shunt it somewhere else.
Yeah.
And and the home buying process is like a whole nother beast.
Ugh.
That is.
Yeah. But Celeste is a homeowner now.
I'm a homeowner now for the first time.
Woo!
Woo!
Black dogs. I'm familiar with the idea of black shuck, which is if I get the
this is a collaborative episode.
And so Paul Bestel, don't come for me if I get this wrong, but Paul Bestel of Mysteries and Monsters / Ghost Story, guys, you're amazing, and he's an encyclopedia, and so if I get this wrong, I'm sorry, but if I recall correctly, black shuck is specifically a British Isles thing, where often a guard dog or equivalent would be the first creature buried in consecrated ground in order to be the spiritual protector of said ground for all of the other entities about to be buried there.
There's also the church grim, which is
maybe that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah. So the church grim that's the one where you bury a dog.
Yeah.
Oh, I just read this. It's bury a dog alive, apparently.
Oh,
that's sad.
That is sad.
That is sad. Under the cornerstone of a church as a foundation sacrifice. Sometimes the grim will toll the bells at midnight before death occurs. At funerals, the presiding clergyman may see the dog looking out from the church tower and determine from its aspect whether the soul of the departed was bound for heaven or hell.
That's very Anubis coded.
It is. Well, Anubis.
Anubis is psychopoem. Well, jackal, but
yeah. Another tradition states that when a new churchyard was opened, the first man buried there had to guard it against the devil. To save a human soul from such a duty, a black dog was buried in the north part of the churchyard as a substitute.
Okay.
So it was either a person or a dog.
Yeah.
So I think the church grim was what you're talking about, although the black shuck is also in legends in Norfolk, Suffolk, Lincolnshire, and northern parts of Essex.
So, North England?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The black dog, I read the scary stories thing when I was a kid. And there was another scary story that a lot of people might know. It's called The Little Black Dog.
Okay.
And the short of that story, I'm not going to read it, the whole thing. You can find it online. Is that there was a guy who killed a rival, a family rival. And then the little dog was like barking at him because it was the guy he killed's dog, and so he killed the dog, and then that dog haunted him until he died. And when he died, they found black hair on his body. Yeah. Obviously, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark is fictional, but they're based in folklore, and both of those stories are based on the folklore of the black dog being an omen in England and
British Isles
and Ireland, and some of North America.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they are our biggest colonizers.
So. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, the only scary story to tell in the dark that I think that I definitely remember, because I'm a weenie and they're scary.
The illustrations are scarier than the actual.
Well, so the one I remember is the girl with the green ribbon around her neck. And
you know what's so funny? I had heard that story before I read it in Scary Stories, I think, because it's like an old folk tale.
I think the idea is kind of old. Maybe that'll be my episode. I don't know. But I think
that would be a great episode.
I think the idea of like having this thing that I can't talk about until you're super duper in group and surprise, I'm dead. I think that's
Spoilers for the folk story
that has
that's
been around for
thousands of years.
But yeah, so I think the concept of cannot trust you to your in-group is a common thing. Mm-hmm. But let's get into black dog stories.
Yes. So, by the way, I'm using Wikipedia as my base, but then I also have like other sources that I will give you.
Yeah.
So, the black dog is a supernatural, spectral, or demonic hellhound originating from English folklore and also present in folklore throughout Europe and the Americas. It is usually unnaturally large with glowing red or yellow eyes, is often connected with the devil, and is sometimes an omen of death. There's different versions. Sometimes they're associated with electrical storms, or with crossroads, with barrows, which is sometimes they're associated with fairies, with fae. Also places of execution and ancient pathways.
Okay.
Black dogs are generally regarded as sinister or malevolent, and a few are said to be directly harmful. But some behave benevolently as guardian black dogs, like the Church Grim, guiding travelers at night onto the right path or protecting them from danger. I guess the difference is, how do you know when the black dog is a death omen and when it's a guardian?
If it shows up when you're lost on some random road that you don't know where you are, it really does sound like it's a 50-50 on whether or not it's about to kill you or get you back on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different origins that could have popped up. First of all, dogs are kind of a universal thing.
Yeah. Black
is the mysterious color of shadows and night. Yeah. So it's not hard to think that,
Yeah. It sounds like it, in many situations, especially for British Isles folklore, it sounds like it's the creepy spin on the common thing type of trope.
Yeah. And it's not also, we'll get to this later, but it's not just the European. It's they're in other cultures as well. Okay. That's what I'm saying. It's pretty universal.
Yeah.
But throughout European mythology, dogs have been associated with death. Examples of this are I cannot pronounce this, Cianwin, which were spectral hounds of Welsh myth. They're associated with the Wild Hunt.
Okay.
Which we talked about before.
Yeah, love the Wild Hunt. Yeah.
There's also the Garm, which is Norse mythology. It's a wolf or dog associated with both Hel and Ragnarok.
Okay. Hel, 1L.
Hel, 1L.
Yeah. And who is a figure in Norse mythology, not necessarily a place.
Yes. And of course, there's Cerberus, who was the Hound of Hades in Greek mythology.
And whose name, if I recall correctly, basically translates to spot.
Spot. It's like spotted one or something like that.
Yeah.
And then it says, all of these examples were in some way guardians of the underworld, and this association seems to be due to the scavenging habits of dogs. And it's possible that the black dog is a survival of these beliefs.
Okay.
Yeah. So, as I said before, there have been a bunch of, depending on the region of England that you're in, they all have different names. There's the Barghest of Yorkshire and the Black Shuck of East Anglia. There's other names are Hairy Jack, Padfoot, which sounds familiar. Yeah. I know. We're gonna talk about the Skriker, Churchyard Beast. The Shug Monkey, which is kind of like a monkey and dog combined together.
Okay.
The Modidu, which is such an accent. Hateful Thing, Swooning Shadow, Boogie Beast, or the Goitresh. So the Goitresh actually was mentioned in Jane Eyre. It's like a shape-shifting. It sometimes takes the appearance of a dog and sometimes takes the appearance of a horse or a crow.
Okay.
And the reason why it's in Jane Eyre is because Jane Eyre thought that her love interest's horse could have been this shape-shifting creature.
Yeah.
I have a little thing here that's kind of famous black dogs. It's from realbritishghosts.com.
Woo!
This is Black Dog Hill in Wiltshire.
Okay.
The story tells how two men fought a duel with pistols over the love of a lady. Mm-hmm. One was shot, and his black dog, seeing his master was fatally wounded, attacked his killer, tearing out his throat. The lady could not bear the thought of the loss of both of her lovers, so she killed herself. As a suicide, she was buried at the aptly named Dead Maid's Crossroads to prevent her from returning as some sort of spirit. However...
That seems like the exact way to get somebody to come back as a ghost.
I know.
Like, suicide, crossroads,
and it's called the Dead Maid's Crossroads.
Yeah, like, if this isn't haunted by, like, some sort of coven of dead girls, like, they should have called it something else.
I know. But apparently the ghost dog returned, even though she didn't.
Boo.
Mothdew that I mentioned, I do not know how to pronounce that, but it is from Peel Castle.
Okay.
And it is a large black spaniel with shaggy curly hair.
No.
Though it could be seen anywhere, the Peel Castle's ghost favorite spot was by the fire in the guard's room.
It's a baby.
The guards were so used to it that they accepted its presence as long as they were not alone with it.
Okay.
However, they believed that it was an evil spirit waiting to catch them out, so they refrained from blasphemy and swearing around it. I know.
What?
I know. They were like, this is a good dog, but don't leave me alone with it because I'm not going to talk about it.
I mean,
because I'm scared of it. I would feel the same. Has
it showed up anywhere other than chilling by the fire? Maybe it just wants belly scritches.
It said that it can appear anywhere in the premises,
okay.
But its favorite spot was by the fire.
See, maybe it's just a good boy who wants a belly scratch. Yeah.
Oh, it says ghost challenged. One guard, being drunk, laughed at his friend's fears and said he was happy to deliver the keys. So this is the keys to the captain, where they had to pass by the passage that went from the guard room to the chapel, and they assumed this was a dog's lair and nobody wanted to go alone. He said he would be happy for the black dog to follow him because then he would prove once and for all whether it was a dog or a demon. He went into the passage from where was heard a terrible noise that continued for some time.
Did he stub his toe on something because he was drunk?
No. At last, the foolhardy guard returned looking terrified and very pale. He was unable to answer by word or gesture any of the questions the other guards put to him. In fact, he did not say another word from that time until he died 3 days later in terrible agony. The passageway was blocked up and another entrance made, and that seems to have laid the mouth dog to rest.
Aww.
Stop it.
You're so baby puppy. Sorry.
There's also the dog. This is I'm going to say famous because I saw this referenced a lot. The Newgate Prison. The notorious Newgate Prison stood near St. Paul's Cathedral until its demolition in 1902. In the years between 1783 and 1868, public executions by hanging outside the prison were a popular form of Monday morning entertainment. I mean, I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
Our ghost tours are
Also,
literally talking about this.
Yeah, and there's not much else to do in 1790, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. The condemned man was led along Dead Man's Walk, which their body would later be buried in quicklime, and onto the scaffold. Hundreds of people turned up either to cheer or jeer and watch the poor wretch breathe their last. And always, it is said, the black dog would appear in the prison on the night before the executions. Newgate Prison was demolished in 1902, but a sinister black shape has often been seen slithering across the top of the wall in Avon Court, behind which once stood the prison and the Dead Man's Walk.
Oh my god, that is creepy.
The apparition is always accompanied by a terrible smell of death. Incidentally, one of the massive original Newgate prison doors can be seen in the Museum of London, but there does seem to be something unpleasant about it. I don't know why this concept stuck to me so much. Like, when I read those stories when I was a kid, I don't know, like, I know cats are seen as creepy. I know crows are seen as creepy. I think the reason that the black dog is so jarring to me is because I love dogs.
Yeah.
I'm such a dog person. I have a dog.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it reminds me of the Black-Eyed Children. How it's almost like a hellish twist on something that's supposed to be innocent and something that's supposed to be benevolent because literally humans and dogs co-evolve together. They're supposed to be man's best friend.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's still an animal.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I look at my dog and I'm like, you are an entirely different species.
Yeah.
And you just live with me. I just let you sleep on my bed.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, Clem will bark at everything.
She will.
Like, literally, when we were helping Celeste move, we had to, like, do a rotation of putting Clem in air jail because...
Which is literally just holding her.
Because what kind is she?
She's a poodle terrier.
So she's tiny.
14, 15 pounds.
And, like, will bark at you for turning your head and, like, walking in the door.
The only time she's calm is if you're literally holding her.
Yeah. Like, in the 10 seconds it would take to hand Clem from me to Devin, let's say. Clem, in those 15 seconds, Clem would be like...
We've heard her bark on this channel before. Yes. On this, podcast before. Literally.
I think she's trying to protect all of us from the germs around our head. I think, or the farting gnats in Kentucky. I don't know.
But like it's like that thing of I grew up with dogs, and it's also that thing of like so many Reddit stories, so many ghost stories. The first animal to know something is wrong
is usually
your pet.
Yeah. Did you ever read the Ranger's Apprentice series?
No.
So they did use this concept a little bit in one of the books.
No, it reminded me of a different Reddit story that I heard one time where it's somebody's dog was barking at something in the woods, and it just reminded me of that. I don't even remember how the story went, but it was like that. It was like foggy, and the dog was barking, and the dog like went off somewhere, and they went looking for the dog, and then God, I don't remember how it resolved. I think that they heard the dog barking and they started walking towards it, but then they saw the dog somewhere else. Like that wasn't the dog that was barking. Something was calling her into the woods using the dog's bark. It always comes back. You know what I'm going to say. It's the uncanny valley. It's when something is supposed to be familiar and it's not quite all there. Yeah. I have a couple little stories. They're very short. Cool. This is from a blog called UK Wildman. Okay. And it's he literally is. It's from November 2015, and this person was researching sightings for something else, but they came across a lot of black dog accounts, and so they compiled some, and I'm just gonna read a couple of them. They come from England. Okay. So I'll read where they're from as well. The beginning ones I'm going to skip because those are more like werewolves. Have we done werewolves on this channel before? No, we should. Okay, so this one is Lise Cumbria rode through the village in winter in the late 1990s. While driving through the village, a married couple spotted a large black animal in the middle of the road. They were forced to stop the car as the creature did not move. It was about 2 meters high and just under a meter tall, covered in black bristly hair and yellow-colored eyes. One of the witnesses reported that the beast resembled a large cat, but was not feline nor dog. The creature eventually moved slowly from the road and stood on the grass verge, enabling the witnesses to drive off. Okay. I know. Weird. Yeah. This one is the Billingham Black Dog. Okay. Witness account from Durham. County Durham. Thank you. For nearly a year now, myself and a friend have seen a black dog in our area. We know for certain it is not just a stray or something, and to be honest, until we read the information on the site, we thought we must have been imagining it. Okay. The creature we see looks a little more like a wolf than a dog, has glowing red eyes, and is always seen in the same places. We live in Billingham. It's a town near to Middlesbrough, and had a really old village nearly a mile away called Wolveston. Also, I've noticed that the information we find always mentions death, but up to now, touch wood, no one near us has died. We would be really grateful if you could send us some more information about this, and if you want any information of what we've seen, I'd gladly send it to you. Okay, Now you think either we are escaped patients or kids with too much time on our hands or telling the truth. I assure you I'm telling the truth. I am 17 and my friend is 19. We were walking from a camping party back home at about 3 in the morning. I noticed my friend watching something as we walked, and when I looked, there was a large shadow, about the size of a large dog. I shone the torchlight against it, and it vanished completely. I removed the light, and it was there again. I said it must have been a shadow, but as we walked, it remained beside us. Then we saw a pair of red eyes come from it. I shone the torch again, and again it vanished. But this time, when I removed the torch, it appeared closer than it was before.
Dun, dun, dun.
And it was still moving toward us, quickly. We shit ourselves and legged it.
Yeah, reasonable.
Since then, we've seen it loads of times, but we've never actually heard it bark or howl. It seems to appear in the same places and usually it starts towards us. The weird thing is we never hardly see it in the winter. In fact, I haven't seen it since September. We've only seen the eyes glow twice. Once in the middle of a golf course while we were taking a shortcut. We were quite deep into it, and it was totally pitch black, so I doubt it was the retina. And the second time was by a main road. It was pretty late, and there were no cars around, but it's possible it could have been reflected from a street lamp. I think that one is kind of like... When I think about, like, folklore and stuff, I think hundreds of years ago, but this one is like, yeah, it was by a golf course.
Yeah. In what, 2015?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's like a bunch of sightings like that, and all over England.
Yeah.
But there's also black dog kind of ghost omens in other regions. The earliest known report of a black dog was in France in AD 856, when one was said to materialize in a church even though the doors were shut. The church grew dark as it padded up and down the aisle as if looking for someone. The dog then vanished as suddenly as it had appeared. There's also, it translates to Old Red Eyes or the Beast of Flanders, was a spirit reported in Belgium in the 18th century, who would take the form of a large black dog with fiery red eyes. In Germany and the Czech lands, it was said that the devil would appear in the form of a large black dog. According to Catholic legend, a black dog attempted to steal Italian mystic Benedetta Carlini when she was a child in the 17th century, but her screams frightened him away. By the time her mother arrived, the dog had disappeared, and Benedetta and her parents interpreted this incident as the work of a devil disguised as an animal.
And not just like a feral dog.
Hey, we Catholics will make a devil out of anything.
Yeah. I mean, one can vilify anything, really.
Yeah.
Anyway.
In Latin America, black dogs with fiery eyes are reported. Throughout Latin America, from Mexico to Argentina, under a variety of names, including the Perro Negro, which is literally Spanish for black dog.
Yeah.
The Nahual, which is more of a Nahual legend in Mexico, like a native Nahual legend, which is a human being who can access spiritual powers through transformation. So it's more like a shapeshifter.
So it seems more in the flesh pedestrian neighborhood. Okay.
The Huaychivo is a Mayan beast.
Okay.
Once again, it's more of a half-man, half-beast creature with burning red eyes, and is specific to the Yucatan Peninsula.
Okay. So remind me, it's that southern bit of California, northern bit of Mexico that kind of juts out from... No, that's completely different. Yucatan Peninsula is where the majority of Mexico is, right? Yes. Okay.
I think.
I'm
forgot a bad
geography.
Mexican. I don't know the geography of my home nation. Well, I wasn't born there, but my parents were.
I just forgot geography entirely, apparently. So...
There's the... You know more geography than I do.
I assure you I don't.
There's the Cadejo from Central America, which is a supernatural spirit that appears as a dog-shaped creature with blue eyes when it's calm and red eyes when it's attacking. It roams around the roads at night, according to Central American folklore of indigenous origin.
Okay.
There's also the Lobezón from Paraguay and Argentina. Oh, this one's interesting. So it's actually a myth that in a family of 7 male children, the last child will become a Luison. So the 7th son will transform into this dog creature. I don't know why.
So do a lot of people stop at 6?
Probably. But it's like the seventh son. So
if you start with it, you're going to stop at 7 instead of 6.
I honestly wonder why that happened. Like, were they trying to, like, control population or something?
Well, 7's got a lot of cultural significance in a lot of places, I think.
Fair.
So it could well be that it's like that's been taken as like the evil number or whatever.
Yeah. So there's also the dip in southern Catalonia, which is an evil black hellhound and an emissary of the devil who sucks people's blood.
Okay.
Yes. And in another Catalan legend is the Picenta, which is an enormous black dog that goes into people's houses in the night and puts itself on their chests, making it difficult for them to breathe, sleep paralysis. Then in China, there's the Haudu. I know that I'm pronouncing that wrong. And the Tiangao, which it resembles a black dog and is thought, this is fun. This resembles a black dog or a meteor and is thought to eat the sun or moon during eclipse.
Huh.
So
cool.
they do the eclipse with the black dog.
Okay. I like that.
It is fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then in North America, I don't know why. The closer it gets to home, the more I'm like,
yeah.
Black dog folklore likely spread with the English, colonizing of America.
Yep.
The legend of a small black dog has persisted in Connecticut since the 19th century. The dog is said to haunt the Hanging Hills, a series of rock ridges and gorges that serve as a popular recreation area.
Okay.
The first non-local account came from W.H. Pynchon in the Connecticut Quarterly, in which it is described as a death omen. It said that if you meet the black dog once, it shall be for joy. If twice, it shall be for sorrow, and the third time shall bring death.
Damn.
Which I think is hardcore.
Have you heard that rhyme, I think, about magpies, like 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for girl, 4 for boy. Hang on.
I have not.
Hang on. I'm going to look this up because it's going to bother me if I don't.
Okay.
1 for sorrow, 2 for joy. It's apparently a nursery rhyme about magpies. 1 for sorrow, 2 for joy, 3 for girl, 4 for boy, 5 for silver, 6 for gold, 7 for a secret never to be told. A longer version of the rhyme recorded in Lancashire continues, 8 for wish, 9 for kiss, 10 surprise, you should be careful not to miss, 11 for health, 12 for wealth, 13 beware, it's the devil himself.
It reminds you of that? Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
There's also a New England black dog tale that comes from southeastern Massachusetts in the area known as the Bridgewater Triangle.
Dun, dun, dun.
In the mid-1970s, the town of Abington was reportedly terrorized by a large black dog that caused a panic. A local fireman saw it attacking horses. Local police unsuccessfully searched for it. At first, they didn't see the black dog, but eventually a police officer sighted the dog walking along train tracks and shot at it. Apparently, the bullets had no effect on the animal and it walked off, never to be seen again. That reminds me of the Beast of Govardhan. Shevadon. Thank you. I never know how to pronounce that. But that reminds me of that, how it's like, it's an unkillable beast.
Yeah. Okay.
In the South Jersey Pine Barrens, there's a local legend told by Pine Barren residents describing a ghostly black dog that is said to roam the beaches and pine forests in the area. Unlike most British or Germanic black dog legends, the black dog of the Pine Barrens is generally considered harmless or even benevolent.
Okay.
According to folklore, pirates on Avison Island attacked a ship and killed its crew. Among those killed were the cabin boy and his black dog, and the spirit of this black dog supposedly roams the beaches and pines searching for his owner.
Oh,
I know, doggy. So, from central Delaware comes the myth of the fence rail dog.
Okay.
Said to be a ghost that is as tall as a fence and races cars along Route 12, but is basically harmless.
Okay.
There are 3 variations of the myth. One is that it is the ghost of a cornered outlaw who committed suicide. Another is that it is a slave killed by his master, looking for a place to be buried. And a third says that it's a dog murdered along with its owner who looks to avenge both of them. So it's
Okay.
not necessarily a black dog. It's more like a black shadow creature.
Yeah.
And so that's why there's different variations of it.
Yeah.
But I think the most popular is obviously the dog.
Yeah.
Hence why it's called the fence rail dog.
Yeah.
South Carolina, there's another frequent spotting of a black dog haunting travelers. The ghost hound of Gosham Hill. It said, which is so funny because where I moved, one of the streets around there is called Gosham. So I'm like, haha.
Yeah.
I'm not living in South Carolina though.
No. Yeah.
The ghost hound of Gosham Hill is said to aggressively prowl around Old Buncombe Road in Sumter National Forest.
Okay.
Legend claims that his master had been unjustly killed for a crime. In the lore of long haul truckers,
Okay.
seeing a black dog with red eyes in your peripheral vision is a sign of a fatal crash being imminent, and you should pull off immediately.
Fatal crash, like just down the road, or fatal crash for the driver, or whoever
I think
saw
for
it?
the driver.
Okay.
Which is why it's like, if you see a black dog, that is a warning. Move. Like,
Yeah. Like get
pull
off
over.
the road, like now.
get off the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do wonder though if the degree to which that's like a self-fulfilling thing.
Well, it says something that the dog, quote, dog, is just the eyes beginning to subconsciously close,
Yeah.
causing a black spot in the corner of the eye. Which, if that is true,
You're
Then
really
you definitely have
sleep-deprived
to
and you
pull
have to like
over.
get over. Yeah.
because if you fall asleep while driving, there will be a fatal car crash.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But I wonder if that's like, if truckers have that in the back of their head and are like, okay, and so not necessarily consciously thinking, I'm going to manifest a dog in the corner of my eye, but
Yeah.
like their lizard brains like must signal in all of the ways to take rest, and
Exactly.
and then their lizard brain manifests that.
I just realized the long haul trucking is such an American thing because,
Yeah.
like, there's so much space
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So, like, of course, a legend would pop up for those specific things.
Yeah.
When you're driving alone at night for hours and hours and hours. Obviously, in popular culture, there have been many. We've kind of talked about some of them. There are many allusions to the black dog myth. Jane Eyre, as I mentioned before.
Yeah.
And obviously, Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yeah.
Harry Potter, Prisoner of Azkaban.
/ Sirius Black.
Where they talk about the Grim,
Yeah.
the giant spectral dog that hurts churchyards, and the worst omen of death.
And the thing is that Sirius, literally named after the dog star,
His nickname is Padfoot.
He and his friends figure out how to do shapeshifting.
Yeah.
And so he turns into a large black dog, and his nickname for that is Padfoot. And I always thought it's just like he's going to be a very quiet dog. I didn't actually realize that there is other.
Me neither
Yeah.
until I was researching.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like a nickname because obviously if you
Yeah.
look at the little dog feet,
Yeah.
it's a Padfoot.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that it wasn't made up. It was already part of that folklore.
Yeah.
And I think to people who grew up with that, like obviously England,
Yeah.
they would have like clocked that right away.
Yeah. Because the other ones are like prongs and wormtail or
Exactly.
whatever. Like it's just sort of it's other physical features of
Yes.
what they're turning into.
There's also one of the most famous ghostly black dogs in fiction in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Hounds of Baskervilles.
Yeah.
Which I haven't read it,
I haven't either.
but I did watch Sherlock, the BBC Sherlock, and they
Okay.
have an episode called The Hound of Baskerville.
Yeah, because it's all based off of
Yeah. So I
okay.
immediately was like, ooh, that.
Yeah.
And like it's just kind of shown up in pop culture. Taylor Swift has a bonus track called The Black Dog on her album The Tortured Poets Department.
Okay.
And it's also like the names of pubs. There's a London pub with that as the name.
Yeah.
And it's also in D&D.
Okay.
Black Hound called the Moon Dog,
Okay.
which is it's like it's a helpful creature, but there's also the evil Yeth Hounds, which are massive human-faced dogs that serves as hunting dogs of powerful fae.
Oh, so like Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh, I hate that. See, that's another.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, so the Hunger Games one specifically.
The mutations.
Yeah. What was specifically the one you were describing with the dead people's faces on the thing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Which they didn't really portray in the movie, but in the book is like horrifying.
Yeah. I mean, Suzanne Collins does like moment to moment horror very, very well.
Suzanne Collins is an underrated horror writer.
Yeah. Also, I've been served a lot of Twilight content on my feed recently, which made me have an interesting take, maybe.
Oh,
potentially controversial
This
take.
will be the last thing in the episode, so I'm excited.
Stephenie Meyer should have been a horror writer.
I agree.
Because she does the second to second, does this work? Does this work? I'm going to try this. And like the course of 3 pages is the course of like a minute or two. But in thrillers and horrors, that's the pace. Like that's it. And so I just remember I'm still mad about the ending of Breaking Dawn.
I think everyone is.
Yes. I just remember in the book when Bella's been training her special ability and all these sorts of things, and she does the moment to moment, okay, I've got you and I've got you and I can see your special ability coming towards me and oh my god, it's working, and I've got you and I've got you, and oh my god, are there gonna be consequences if we all have to move at once? Am I gonna go insane? Like there's like she does that second to second stuff very, very well.
I feel like that's a book series that people it's like a nostalgia.
Yeah.
You know, if they love it, it's mostly nostalgia.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There could be a whole lot of Twilight discourse. But anyway.
But we were talking about...
Black Dogs.
Black Dogs.
Yes.
And honestly, that's all I have. Like I said, I didn't have time to script it. So thank you for doing this with me.
Yeah.
But this is one of my special interests. So thank you for coming on this journey with me.
All right. Tell us about your special interest by sending us an email, drearymidnightpodcast@gmail.com. If you want to see some cool photos, follow us on Instagram at drearymidnightpod. And if you like the kind of stuff we do, support us on Patreon, patreon.com/drearymidnight. And with all that said, drink your water, take your meds, don't cross the path of a black dog, and safe travels home on this dreary midnight. Good night.
Good night.